Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the VEILED VOTARY, a divine-themed rogue subclass in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod that's made by Saethos here. Now, you may know them as the creator of the Arcane Vanguard, with over 1 million downloads now. One thing I do want to mention too is this is actually the most updated mod in Baldur's Gate 3, with over 114 different revisions. I went through and checked some of the most popular mods, so Saethos is actually one of the hardest working in the modding community in terms of keeping their mods up to date, and they've actually put out an update to the VEILED VOTARY since I last talked about it in a video, but I haven't done a build, so we're going to dive right in here. This is a brief overview of what to expect. This has some cleric spells mixed into it here, so you get choices of cantrips, spells, and the VEILED VOTARY's vow. This class gets magical sneak attacks, and you can choose if you want to do either radiant or necrotic damage with your sneak attacks. And a quick credit to Ekaterina Burmak for the creation of this awesome art here. Now, when we first start off, we're going to be a rogue. This is one of the classes. Typically, running with dexterity on this class. This is a spellcaster, however, so we do need some wisdom here for things like our guiding bolt to land. So we're going to go with 16 wisdom, 16 dexterity, and 14 constitution. You can swap this around with the wisdom if you prefer having more health, as this kind of does a few different things all at once. You can even use like inflict wounds for your weapon attack, or spell attack if you wanted to get the sneak attack off. So you got options. Now, our skill proficiencies. This depends on what kind of role you're playing in the party. If you're the face, take persuasion and deception. If you're like the tool carrier, I would recommend having like a sleight of hand here. I would always recommend having stealth though, because that's kind of the whole point of a rogue. So make sure you have stealth, but if you're the face, take persuasion. And level 2, we get our ever famous bonus action, dash, disengage, and hide. Those are good. Obviously, we can use them as we need them. Now, our subclass here. This is the VEILED VOTARY. So devote to something greater than yourself. Use subterfuge and divine spells to further your cause. We got different cantrips and spell selections here now. I always recommend have someone on your party wear or use guidance here, so this should be something you should take if no one else has it. Toll the Dead, good cantrip for range, does additional damage. We'll take Sacred Flame. It's not like the absolute best cantrip in the game, but it's a good choice. And one of the more underrated spells, Produce Flame. What's funny about this is it actually creates a light source until long rest, so we can actually cast this and use different gear that procs when we have a light source nearby, which is, funny enough, a lot of the Radiant themed gear in the game. So this can actually work very well in this setup, but I like to have the Radiant and Necrotic options as well. Again, though, Guidance is just the best choice on this list. I usually run a Cleric, however. Now for our spells, Command is by far the best choice here. This is just a really good one. Funny enough, this can actually give you a bonus action late game if you have the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, so we can definitely take advantage of that. Guiding Bolt is another one that can actually give us a sneak attack. Funny enough, you can cast this on your teammates and it's going to heal them as well, just due to the features of this subclass, so you got some fun options as well. Sanctuary, one of the best spells in the game. It's a good one. Same as Create or Destroy Water, but honestly, my choice is to take Command in either the Inflict Wounds or Guiding Bolt. I think in a nutshell that radiant damage ends up being just a bit better. There's a lot that do resist necrotic damage, more so than radiant damage, but radiant damage unfortunately can be reflected back against us in a couple of particular fights. You could just respec for those fights or use different advantages to get an upper hand in those fights, because yeah, radiant damage is kind of an anomaly in that regard, but we're going all in on it because it leads to some very powerful builds, and in particular something interesting for the rogue. So I'm going to go with the Penance Votary's Vow, although if you like necrotic damage, the punishment can work great as well. Upon hitting level 4, we do get another choice in spell here. I also do want to quickly mention Bless is another incredible spell to have selected. So my personal preferences is, despite having a good bonus action option, Sanctuary is a nice one to have just as a panic, pop this down, or Healing Word. Why I like this so much is that if you have a teammate that went down, instead of spending your full action, you can spend a bonus action and give them a tiny little heal. So this works really well. Inflict Wounds is another good choice though, so you got options between those. Our feat, at level 4, I think Alert is one of the absolute best. However, since we are a rogue, Savage Attacker has a very high value. However, as well, the rogue also gets multiple feats, so we could take this later on. Just want to mention how good Savage Attacker is on rogues. Alert, and even a dexterity-based improvement can be a good choice. Dex is especially important for more initiative, armor class, and for our melee weapon attacks. Level 5 gives us Uncanny Dodge. You can use your reaction to reduce the damage by half. It's nice. It's just extra survivability. Just be mindful of your reactions. And level 6, we get to choose from some more skills. Intimidation, Deception are great if you're the face of the party. If you're not, Acrobatics makes it so that we don't get shoved around, which sucks because it can be a one-shot. And you get shoved into lava or off the edge, goodbye. Level 7, however, gives us our Evasion. We basically are going to take half less damage from dexterity saves now. So if we succeed on a save, we take no damage. If we fail, we only take half. Pretty good value if you ask me. Our level 7 spell, Hold Person, just extremely valuable. The reason Hold Person is so good on a rogue is that our sneak attacks will also get an additional damage die on crits, so we can get up in their face, do some pretty silly stuff with this. It's extremely powerful. I also want to mention Spiritual Weapon because with Spiritual Weapon, you can summon in the Maul. The Maul gets a special attack that can stun or daze targets. Dazed targets have Wisdom save disadvantage, meaning Hold Person is easier to land. So that's a good choice too. Some people also talk, they have very short movement speed. The thing is, this is a bonus action and you can cast it into the enemy backlines. That's my preferred way of playing around that, is just as a panic, or not even a panic, but just like a whoop, pop it into the backline and start bonking people with the hammer. It's a very underrated spell that I think a lot of people don't give a fair chance to. Our next spell that we'll take is Spiritual Weapon here, which, just gave you the feel on it. We'll also throw in Savage Attacker for rerolling die. You can use a dexterity increase if you don't like that feat. Level 9 gives us a lot of our subclass features with Rebuke the Faithless. When you use your sneak attack to restore hit points to any ally, if they deal damage to an enemy before the end of their next turn, you can use your reaction to deal your sneak attack damage to their target. The damage is determined by your Votary Vow, in our case, Radiant. This is cool. This really does actually like enhance how this build plays because you're strategizing now. So if you're using your sneak attack, you can heal a teammate, and then they're going to be able to give you some extra damage. It's a cool way to play, actually very unique. I haven't seen anything else like it here. The brand of Heretical here, whenever you use your sneak attack damage on an enemy using a spell attack, that target has disadvantage on its next saving throw against a spell you cast until the end of your next turn. And a very smart play by Saethos here, making it different from the Eldritch Strike from the Eldritch Knight. So yeah, this is interesting. It has to be a spell attack roll. And Silent Sanction. When you use your sneak attack on an enemy using a saving throw, you can use your bonus action to grant an ally 5d6 temporary health. This is pretty cool as well. So yeah, a lot of fun synergizing strategies you can do. That's kind of a rhyme, but yeah, one of the cool things about this subclass is just the way that it plays so nicely with other classes, and actually makes the rogue feel like it's pulling its weight in combat, while not being anything compared to overpowered. It's actually very well balanced. We then get another cantrip here, blow things up, Bursting Sinew. It's not like Corpse Explosion from DOS 2, Divinity Original Sin, but we still like it. I also don't mind to take Aid. This is a good spell to be able to give your team extra health. Calm Emotions is a really good choice. There's a few options where this is good. They're mostly early in the game, so I don't typically recommend taking it this late. Never can say no to Silence Bubbles. Just be mindful your Booming Blade characters will not be dealing their extra damage. My personal preference is Enhanceability. It's just crazy good. Basically, you can get Dexterity advantage on all like your skill checks. You can do it on Charisma. It's a really good spell, so we're going to take that. It's more so out of combat utility. We get another feat here at level 10. I like a Dexterity increase. You could go with a Wisdom increase. I just think Dex brings more value to our team. And I like Lucky as well. Lucky works great with rogues. It just gives you the ability to reroll attack rolls and things like that. Just flat out saves you. Level 11 gives us a Reliable Talent. When you make an ability check with a skill you're proficient in, the lowest you can roll is a 10. Yippee! We'll also take Aid here. Warding Bomb is okay, but not really like... I mean, you could protect your teammates, and like the rogue has some defensive abilities, but yeah, we're rolling with this. And you can swap your spells out at any time if you want to use something different. Level 12 here, another feat. At this point, I just recommend maxing our Dexterity. It's not a bad option. Level 13 gives us our Prayers of Benediction. You utter a prayer. You and your allies will have advantage on all saving throws. This effect lasts until your first successful saving throw. This is really cool. Yeah, I love it. Protection, basically. And it's a good protection because if it fails, it doesn't go away. You keep it until you do succeed. This is awesome. Prayer of Benediction, level 13. So you do have to use like a level 13 to 20 mod to be able to access this, but I must say it's definitely worth it, and you get some really fun spell options. They actually just updated this to include Spirit Guardians, which is amazing. I was actually kind of cheesing it earlier using the replace spell to find my way into grabbing it, but it is now available at level 13. Amazing choice because, yeah, Spirit Guardians on a rogue, it's a lot of fun, I must say. With Dash, you become a Beyblade of Terror running through, shredding things apart. I'm also a fan of Glyph of Warding, especially if you're a half-elf or an elf, because you can't be put to sleep. You can use this if you get surrounded as like a get-out-of-jail-free card. You throw down your smoke bomb asleep. Everyone around you is sleeping, and you're not. Honk shoe, and there, yeah, you can just get away really easily. Mass Healing Word is another good spell, but honestly, Spirit Guardian is one of the best in the game. And honestly, I think to be one of the best level 3 spells, other than counter spells, so we want it. Level 14, we're going to take our Glyph of Warding. It's like a short-range fireball. It's good. You can't sneak attack with it, though. Just want to point that out. Level 15 gives us our Slippery Mind. It's proficiency in Wisdom saving throws. This is from the Rogue. 13 to 20 mod. It's nice. Rogue's actually pretty good defenses there. We get another feat here. Now, we already got our Savage Attacker. You could go with something like Warcaster to get advantage on concentration so we don't lose Spirit Guardians, and it gives us a reaction, but we already have a reaction, so I don't fully recommend that. Sentinel kind of funny, but not going to recommend it either. My personal preference is going with a Lucky Feat or a Wisdom improvement, and even the Tough Feat works really well, especially if you go to level 20. I'm going to go with Lucky because I think it fits a Rogue very well, and it's an underrated feat, but Tough is good because hit points are a resource. You want to use them. Level 17 gives us our subclass feature, the Votary Intercession. When you trigger your sneak attack on a spell, you can teleport to a space within 3 meters of your target. Doing so will deal 4 to 24 radiant or necrotic based on your Votary vow. A creature that has taken damage from your Votary vow is not damaged by this ability. So yeah, you get a little bit of a chain action now. So you do your sneak attack with a spell, you can then teleport and boom, blast away, but you can't use them on the same target. Again, a very nice balance choice here by Saethos. I think that's a really fun ability to use. Level 18, Elusive. You're so elusive. This doesn't work. It's actually from the 13 and 20 mod. It's not part of Saethos mod. Level 20 now, or 19. This gives us our final feat. We get a level 4 spell selection. I like Guardian of Faith. Banishment's probably the true best spell at this level, but I like Guardian of Faith because you can pop it down before combat, put it in a doorway, it'll protect your team. Now, one little sneaky that I think works really well here is with this class, we are light armor. Light armor typically is going to be the best option for us. However, this depends where we're at in the game. So our last feat actually is going to be the moderately armored. I was talking about the tough feat, but with moderately armor, we get medium armor. This means we can use the luminous armor, which is amazing on any type of radiant caster. You don't have to go this route. I will just mention that you could go with the tough feat for the extra 40 health and then rock the ballast armor, which will double our piercing damage. But since we got radiant orbs, we may as well go all in on that theme because only one character can actually be hit by Spirit Guardians per turn. So if you run a Rogue and a Cleric, they both can't run with Spirit Guardians and hit the same target. So we are the Spirit Guardians user of the party. We're going all in on that, and this means taking the moderately armored. You could have taken a higher, or you could have put our dexterity to 17 at the start of the game, I guess. And even if you're going to level 12, you could do it this way as well. Level 20 just gives us another choice in spell. I guess we'll take Banishment. Actually, Freedom of Movement actually fits well in here. If we get slowed down or restrained, we can actually stop that from happening. And I will have the outfit mod, the Death Shadows, in the description. Now for base game gear, my character's looking kind of greasy, but there's multiple ways we can actually do this. That's the cool thing about this. We can actually go all in on being tanky with using the Armor of Agility now that we got that proficiency, high dexterity, and a shield. 25 AC, that's pretty solid. I'm not even using any other gear here, which we could boost it up to a 29 with if we wanted to. Actually, we could put up to 30 with, there's gloves, boots, a cloak, and a helmet that gives armor class, and a ring. So we could get that to 30 if you wanted to. It's silly. Even the Defender Flail will put us to 31. That's not ideal. My personal preference is to do the Radiating Orb or the Ballast Armor. Now with the Ballast Armor, this doubles our piercing damage. This means that the Dolor Amaris, which does additional 7 damage on a critical hit, does an additional 14 damage on a critical hit. This also means that we could throw on the Shade Slayer, or the Shade Shadow Cloaked Ring for an additional 1d4, which is also doubled in piercing damage. And we can just proc up a bunch of piercing damage off of our weapon. However, since we're going with more of a support kind of role with this, I'm going to be throwing on the Luminous Armor here, which gives you Radiant Shockwave. So if you don't know what that means, basically, when we have Spirit Guardians and we hit someone with it, it's going to create a 3-meter explosion where it applies 2 turns of Radiating Orbs in that area, which is crazy when you have multiple enemies in an area because you can apply a -10 to their attack rolls in no time at all. It's crazy. So yeah, we're going all in on the Luminous Armor because we're the Luminous Radiant Damage dealer. So again, you don't have to use this setup. You could use the previous one I was talking about, but we're throwing in the Luminous Gloves. And since we proc a condition, the Boots of Stormy Clamor to apply Reverberation works great here as well. And furthermore, we could then use the Thunderskin Cloaks when a target with Reverberation deals damage to us. We can make them dazed. Again, dazed meaning that we can land our commands and hold person easier, making it very synergetic. I also have the Holy Lance Helm, so if they do miss us with an attack, they take radiant damage. What's funny about this is we can actually run around proccing opportunity attacks and take out enemies. And with Spirit Guardians, this is really silly. It makes the rogue feel like a true rogue, in all honesty. And I also have the Coruscation Ring here, so whenever we deal spell damage while illuminated, we inflict Radiating Orb on the target for 2 turns, and the Callous Glow Ring, 2 additional points of radiant damage on targets that are illuminated, which will proc our gear. Now, I mentioned earlier, Produce Flame. Boom. We now have our light source. You can hold this bad boy in your hand until the sun goes down. So until long rest, we now have our light source and this glowing thing on our head. Our character looks extra greasy, but that's okay because we are all buffed up. I also like to throw in the Hellrider Longbow. +3 to initiative is nice. I have Iconia's Walking Fortress. You don't need to use a shield, but honestly, a weapon that works very well from the very early game I guess two I should mention. Spell Sparkler, pretty funny weapon. Will apply lightning charges whenever you deal spell damage or cantrip damage. Lightning charges just gives us more ways to proc our gear, so that's really nice. And the other weapon I do want to mention, which is my preferred weapon for this build, is Father Aluve. With this, it gives us the Shrieking Song and the Singing Song, which can buff or debuff the enemies and deal additional thunder damage to enemies. We'll likely be using Shriek most of the time. But another thing about this weapon, it's really cool in the fact that it's a sneak attack weapon. So this does the additional slashing damage. Funny enough, since we're doing slashing damage, we don't have to worry about the ballast armor, so this ends up being a good combination all around altogether. Now, if you really want to use a crossbow to give this the official look, I honestly like the hand crossbows, but you can use the Herald or the Giant Breaker because they both debuff the enemy. And Giant Breaker actually applies Reeling, which can stack with the Radiating Orbs here, so that's a good choice too. And I got the Amulet of Greater Hell just so we can hold our concentration on Spirit Guardians, but you could honestly go with something like the Subjugation, Surgeon Subjugation to paralyze targets. And don't forget, Prayer of Benediction. Put that on your team. Protect them for the first saving throw. It may be the most important saving throw of your entire game. You never know. If you want to be extra cheesy, you can pre-cast Spirit Guardians, so you don't have to worry about your first turn of combat having to cast it. And if you want to be extra cheesy, use your single level 4 spell slot on it. And if you want to be extra cheesy, use a free spell casting from a staff to do it. And you can guess that I was being a little cheesy. Now, they are right on the edge of destruction here, so we're just going to walk forward. And the beautiful thing about this is 6 stacks of Radiating Orbs on these two here because they were close enough to be able to get hit with that. That's the beautiful thing about the Luminous Armor, is it's going to apply conditions really easily. We took that target out, but now we have 10 turns of Radiating Orbs on this target here. That's pretty silly. So yeah, they are debuffed pretty badly. Typically, the thing we want to do first in combat is run around. You can use your bonus action for the dash and then just go around. I also don't mind proccing them. They have a -10. What's funny about that -10 to their attack rolls is that they took that reverberation damage. They also ended up taking radiant damage twice extra, once from the helmet, once from the luminous, or the ring that we have. So that can sometimes take out an enemy really easily. I'm not going to react, but they got knocked on their butt because of it. It's hilarious. That's why I recommend flying with these two pieces of gear in particular. And don't worry about proccing opportunity attacks. You can even re-roll them if you want to, because we got the lucky feat, so we could damage them. I'm not going to use my reaction. It's not worth it because we have other uses for a reaction, so don't end up using them on that. But that's totally fine if you get hit a few times. The rogue is kind of resilient and they can protect themselves if they need it. This target, ranged attacker, 10 stacks of Radiating Orbs. This one's dazed, so that's amazing. We actually got them to get dazed because of our cloak. Amazing stuff there. And all we've done is really just run around and apply Radiating Orbs on enemies. So that's the beautiful thing, is we haven't even used our spell yet. So we can then go ahead with our Guiding Bolt. You could upcast it for a little extra damage. I'm going to go ahead with this here. We'll go for the crit. Boom, critical hit, Guiding Bolt. And yeah, I guess I don't really have any real way to do a true sneak attack. But our little Guardian here, I actually had Shadowheart cast this before I got into combat. Lets me do a sneak attack on this one, 57 damage plus the additional Radiant. That was good enough for me. We'll try to set up another sneak attack next turn, but one other thing I do want to mention is you can stand by the Guardian of Faith here and kind of double up on the extra damage. It's a nice thing to have. And your team will be pretty much safe because a lot of these enemies are going to have a -10 to their attack rolls, so they're not likely to hit the team. And even if they save on the helmet's effects, they still can get hit, as you can see here, and go prone. That is so funny. So yeah, you can actually proc the reverberation. Whoa, they just jumped into that and died. Wow, that is absolutely absurd. So yeah, you can see there, some funny stuff happens when Spirit Guardians is out. Oh no, Shadowheart got pushed to her death. Are you kidding me? And for our second turn of combat, we're gonna have to look around to see who's got Radiating Orbs and who doesn't. Typically, we want to protect them so that we don't get anyone that's, you know, just hitting our teammates, and we want to protect them. So you can see here, we got 10 stacks back on this enemy. It's really nice if they're grouped together, and I actually don't mind proccing these opportunity attacks because that damage reverberation at 2 points actually applies some Radiating Orbs around. So you can see here, we're actually wanting to proc. Oh, they got a critical hit. We can use Lucky to re-roll those crits into misses there. They get saved on Smite the Graceless. That's perfect. We then also reapplied 10 stacks of Radiating Orbs of both these targets. This is the one that's dazed. And I'm going to try and do a, we don't got the sneak attack off on this one. It's not very easy sometimes to hit it. But I'm just going to blast away and hope that I hit that target with an upcast one. Booyah. And we applied Radiating Orbs on the poor civilians there. So yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about this, is that we do have ranged options that we can do some attacks with. We can do sneak attacks, but you just got to be mindful that you do have to have advantage on the target. So we have Minsk right here setting us up. We're just going to go for that easy low-hanging fruit. And the best thing about this is We have actually really nice bonus action options. We can dash and use the Spirit Guardian's Blast Away or Spiritual Weapon. And again, the Maul is really good. You can place it wherever you want. So I'm going to throw it in the back line there. It's got the worst initiative of all time, so just be mindful of that. But it will soak up attacks for you from time to time. And he's eating up attacks for our team, so he's doing his job. That's the nice thing about those. Immune to Ensnare too, so they'll waste away some of their spell slots on them. And another person that jumped, whoa, what just happened? Two of them jumped through Spirit Guardians and get exploded midair. I love when that happens, and it actually happens a lot more than you'd think. This one's on the edge, so we can, oh, they survived that damage. They have 22 health left. I could just, yeah, we'll just go ahead with a normal old. Actually, I'll go with a sneak attack. We'll try to use the Sacred Flame there, and we got the Sacred. There we go. We finally got our sneak attack off. And we can use the Penance Intercession here. So this allows us to teleport to a space within 3 meters of your other eval target, and it'll deal damage to those in the area. So yeah, we don't got the we don't have enough space or invalid target. There's no targets here that we can actually do this on. So that's the only downside, is we didn't have another target. And I can't hit that target, so I'm just going to use a Guiding Bolt on him and just hope for the best. If we set up advantage, we're good. Oh my god, and I got him again with the, he missed his attack and he got hit with the Reverber. That's so funny. We'll end his life there with the advantage attack that we got there, which then triggers our extra damage, and boo-yah! And that was a 10d6 Irradiant, and then it also has the Callous Glow on top of it. 36 damage on 18 of its regular damage points. Pretty cool stuff. I love being able to do sneak attacks off of your ranged spells. Be mindful you do need advantage. However, Guiding Bolt does give you yourself advantage. So if you have haste, you can actually reliably set it up there by using that. So kind of cool combination. But that is the Veiled Votary there by Saethos. Definitely go check out this mod. It's a lot of fun. A unique twist on the rogue that unlike anything I've ever seen before. And it's guaranteed to be a good time. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. And we'll catch you all in the next video.